The massive ornate doors of the Shilla Hotel Grand Ballroom burst open with such force that 300 heads turned in perfect unison. The officiant's voice died mid-sentence. "And if anyone knows why these two should not be wed, speak now or—" As sunlight flooded the room like a divine interruption. In the doorway stood a woman in crimson, her dark skin glowing against the sea of pale faces, her presence commanding every breath in the room. But it wasn't just her beauty that stopped hearts. It was the two small hands she held in hers. Twin boys, 9 years old, stood on either side of her in designer suits that cost more than most guests' monthly salaries. And when the light hit their faces just right, every single person in that ballroom saw it. Those eyes, sharp, intelligent, unmistakable, the exact same eyes currently staring from the altar in absolute horror. The groom's eyes. Kang Tae-jun, Seoul's most feared mafia boss, the man who'd invited his ex-wife to mock her at his wedding, was about to discover that some women don't break, they plan. Before we dive into how this queen destroyed a king in front of all of Seoul, smash that subscribe button and hit the like icon because you won't believe what she does next. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and trust me, you'll want to see how a man who thought he won everything lost it all in less than 60 seconds. Amara Johnson took her first step down the aisle, and it felt like watching a lioness stalk prey. She didn't rush, didn't hesitate. Every step was deliberate, calculated, soaked in a confidence that made grown men shift uncomfortably in their seats. The twins walked with her, their little faces calm but their eyes, God, those eyes, scanning the room with an awareness no 9-year-old should possess. Whispers erupted like wildfire. A crime boss leaned toward his associate, voice barely contained. "Are those his sons?" A politician's wife clutched her pearls. "She's black?" He was married to a black woman. Business partners exchanged glances that screamed betrayal. He never mentioned children. An old friend sat frozen, the horrible truth dawning. This is going to destroy him. At the altar, the bride Choi Min-ji, daughter of Seoul's chief prosecutor, a woman who'd spent 6 months planning the wedding of the century, stood in her $1,000 gown watching her perfect day disintegrate. Her makeup was flawless, her dress pristine, but her face told a different story. Betrayal was forming in real time, confusion morphing into something darker, something dangerous. She turned to Tae-jun, her voice shaking. "What is this?" He couldn't answer. His mouth opened, closed, opened again like a fish drowning in air. Because Tae-jun was experiencing something he hadn't felt in 15 years. Fear. 3 seconds of memory flashed through his mind. Him at his desk 2 weeks ago, writing the wedding invitation to Amara, laughing with his groomsmen about how she'd show up broken and pathetic, about how she'd see what she'd lost. He'd wanted her to witness his upgrade, his triumph, his proof that leaving her was the best decision he'd ever made. But the woman walking toward him now wasn't broken. She was a queen entering enemy territory like she owned it. Amara reached the altar, and the entire ballroom held its breath. She stood directly in front of Tae-jun, the twins flanking her like small soldiers. The resemblance was so undeniable it hurt to look at. Tae-min, the twin on her left, spoke first, his voice polite but cold as winter. "Hello, father." Tae-hyun, on her right, followed. "We finally meet you." Their Korean was perfect, their pronunciation flawless, and their tone, rehearsed, prepared. This wasn't spontaneous childhood innocence. This was a strategic strike. Amara extended a white envelope toward Tae-jun, and when his hand reached out to take it, everyone noticed the tremor in his fingers. The mighty Kang Tae-jun, the man who'd ordered hits on rivals without flinching, was shaking. He opened the envelope with hands that betrayed everything his face tried to hide. The contents spilled onto the white altar cloth like evidence at a crime scene. DNA test results landed first, the bold text visible even from the front row. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. Kang Tae-hyun, biological son of Kang Tae-jun, Kang Tae-min, biological son of Kang Tae-jun. Then came the letters. Dozens of them. All addressed to him. All stamped return to sender. Some torn. Some unopened. 10 years of attempted communication. Rejected. But it was the photographs that truly gutted him. They fell like accusations, each one a moment he'd stolen from himself. Newborn twins in a hospital so tiny they fit in one blanket. First birthday, single candle. Amara's tired smile, the only adult face in frame. First day of kindergarten, 2 little boys in matching backpacks, no father holding their hands. A soccer game, Amara cheering alone in the stands, no partner beside her. A school play, 1 empty seat in the front row where a father should have been. Every milestone he'd missed. Every memory he'd abandoned. Every moment he'd chosen not to exist for. Amara's voice cut through the chaos, calm and devastating. I sent 127 letters in 10 years. You opened 0. I called 1,849 times. You answered never. So I stopped trying. She paused. Let the silence breathe. Let the weight settle. Until you invited me to watch you marry someone else. Minji snatched a photograph from Tae-jun's trembling hands. The twins as babies? Hours old? Perfect and innocent. Her scream shattered the remaining dignity in the room. You have children? Tae-jun turned to her, desperation bleeding through his composure. Minji, I can explain. But she was already beyond reason, beyond forgiveness. You have children and you never told me? Her voice climbed octaves, raw and jagged with humiliation. The entire ballroom erupted. 300 guests rose from their seats like a wave. Phones appearing in hands faster than Tae-jun could process what was happening. This wasn't just a scandal. This was career suicide being live-streamed in real time. Then came the sound that would haunt Tae-jun for the rest of his life. The scrape of a chair from the front row. His mother, elegant in traditional hanbok, stood with a grace that somehow made the moment more terrifying. She was 62 years old, a woman who'd built her life on family honor, on legacy, on the sacred importance of blood. She walked toward the twins with slow, measured steps, and every eye followed her. The ballroom fell silent. Even breathing felt too loud. She reached the boys and knelt down, her silk hanbok pooling around her like water. Her hand, trembling, gentle, reached out and touched Taehyun's face, then Taemin's. Her fingers traced their features like she was memorizing scripture. Tears streamed down her carefully made-up face, destroying the powder, the composure, the decades of practiced control. My grandsons, she whispered in Korean, her voice breaking. My precious grandsons I never knew existed. Then she stood, turned, faced her son. And the entire room understood what was about to happen before it did. The slap echoed off marble floors and crystal chandeliers. It wasn't just physical contact. It was a public execution. Gasps rippled through the crowd like shockwaves. This was a Korean mother disowning her son in front of Seoul's elite. This was devastation. I raised you to honor family above all, she said in Korean. Her words razor-sharp despite the tears. I taught you that blood is sacred, that children are heaven's greatest gift. And you, her voice broke, reformed, came back stronger. You threw away your own sons like garbage? You hid them from me? From your mother? She looked at Amara, her eyes desperate. How old are they? 9 years old, ma'am, Amara replied softly. The older woman's knees nearly buckled. 9 years. 9 years I could have known them. 9 years I could have held them. 9 years of birthdays and first days of school and bedtime stories. She turned back to Tae-jun, and her next words were ice. You are no son of mine until you become a father to them. She took the twins' hands, one in each of hers, and led them to her table. She didn't look back, didn't acknowledge Tae-jun's existence. She'd erased him more thoroughly than any physical blow ever could. Movement from the other side of the room drew attention. Minji's father stood, and if you understood Seoul's power structure, you understood this was worse than any slap. Prosecutor Kim was the kind of man who could destroy lives with a phone call. His face showed no emotion, just cold calculation. "This wedding is cancelled," he announced to the room. Not a question, a decree. Minji approached Taejun, shaking with a rage so pure it was almost beautiful. Her perfect wedding. 6 months of planning, millions of won spent, the social event of the season, was imploding around her, and 300 witnesses were recording every second. "How long were you going to hide this from me?" Her voice was deadly quiet now, more terrifying than screaming. "Minji, please. We've been together 2 years, planning this wedding for 6 months. And you never, not once, thought to mention you have twin sons. It's complicated. Complicated." The word came out like a bullet. "You're a liar." She tore the engagement ring from her finger, a diamond so large it had its own insurance policy, and threw it at his chest. It bounced off his tailored suit and hit the floor with a small, pathetic sound. Nobody moved to pick it up. It lay there like evidence. But Minji wasn't finished. She stepped closer, close enough that only Taejun could hear her next words clearly, though her fury made them carry. "You humiliated me in front of all of Seoul. My father is the chief prosecutor. My uncle sits on the Financial Services Commission. My brother runs the largest law firm in Korea." Each fact landed like a punch. "I'm going to use every connection, every resource, every favor owed to my family to destroy you." Taejun's arrogance finally kicked in, the defense mechanism of a man drowning. "You're upset. You'll calm down." Her laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. "Calm down? I'm gonna spend every day for the rest of my life making you pay for this. Every illegal deal, every dirty secret, every crime you've committed. I will find it. I will expose it. And I will watch you beg for mercy." She turned to Amara then, and something unexpected happened. Understanding passed between them. "I was a fool who didn't know," Minji said. "But you know exactly who he is." She paused, weighing something. "Whatever you're planning, I want in." Amara gave the slightest nod. Minji's final words to Taejun were delivered with surgical precision. "You wanted 2 women to fight over you. Instead, we're gonna fight against you. Together." She walked out, head high, her family following like an army. Her father paused at the door, gave Taejun one look that communicated everything. "You're finished." Half the guests streamed out behind them. The ballroom that had held 300 now felt cavernous with emptiness. Taejun stood at the destroyed altar, his carefully constructed world crumbling like sand between his fingers. The remaining guests, mostly his criminal associates and business partners, watched with the cold calculation of vultures deciding when to abandon a dying animal. His lieutenants waited for orders that wouldn't come, because for the first time in 15 years, Kang Taejun had no idea what to do. Amara hadn't moved. She stood there, flanked by his sons, watching him drown. He approached her, trying to summon the Mafia boss persona that usually made people cower. "We need to talk, privately. Anything you say to me, you can say in front of your sons." Her voice carried across the half-empty ballroom. "They deserve to hear who their father really is." Something inside Taejun snapped. The humiliation, the fear, the loss of control. It all combusted into rage. "You had no right to come here, to embarrass me like this." The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Amara's smile was gentle, pitying, devastating. "I had every right. You invited me. Remember?" She pulled the invitation from her clutch purse, unfolded it with deliberate care. The invitation came with a handwritten note. She read aloud, her voice carrying to every remaining guest. "Come see what a real marriage looks like." She held up his handwriting for everyone to see, his cruelty documented and displayed. The shame that crossed Taejun's face lasted only seconds before desperation replaced it. What do you want? Money? Is that why you're here with this stunt? The twins reacted like he'd slapped them. Taemin stepped back, hurt blooming across his young face. Taehyun's expression hardened into something that looked disturbingly like his father's rage. But Amara's composure finally cracked, and what emerged was fury that had been aging for 10 years. Money? You think I came here for money? Her voice rose for the first time, years of pain sharpening every word. I came here so your sons could see the man who abandoned them, so they could witness with their own eyes that their father is exactly what I told them. A coward who runs from responsibility. The accusations came like machine gun fire. You knew I was pregnant. You were there when the doctor said, twins. You saw the ultrasound. You felt them kick. And the next day, you filed for divorce and disappeared. I was 25 years old. I wasn't ready to be a father. Taejun's defense sounded pathetic even to his own ears. I was 19 years old. Amara's scream echoed off chandeliers. I was in a foreign country. I barely spoke Korean. I didn't know how to navigate your healthcare system or your culture or your language. And I was ready because I had TOB. The ballroom disappeared. For everyone watching, they could see it. A 19-year-old black girl, pregnant with twins, abandoned in soul. They could imagine the hospital visits alone, the judgmental stares, the bureaucratic nightmares, the loneliness so profound it became physical. Amara's voice dropped to something more dangerous than shouting. You want to know what I want? I want you to look at your sons. Really look at them, and realize what you threw away. Taejun turned to the twins, perhaps genuinely trying to connect, but his mother materialized like a guardian angel. She stood between him and the boys, her small frame somehow immovable. Don't you dare, she hissed. They're my sons. Now you claim them? Now? The disgust in her voice could have stripped paint. You don't get to decide to be their father when it's convenient. Taehyun stepped around his grandmother. 9 years old but carrying himself like someone much older. We don't need you to claim us, he said in perfect Korean, his tone analytical, detached. We know who we are. Taemin, the more emotional twin, added with devastating simplicity. Mom showed us pictures of you. She said you were a king in soul. We thought kings were brave. He paused, and his next words landed like grenades. But you're just scared. If you're watching this and your heart is breaking for these boys, hit that subscribe button and smash the like icon because what happens next will leave you speechless. This mother is about to make a move that changes everything. Taejun knelt down, trying desperately to salvage something. I made mistakes, but I'm here now. Taehyun's response was clinical. You're not here for us. You're here because you got caught. Why didn't you want us? Taemin's question hung in the air, innocent and impossible. It's not that I didn't want. Answer the question. Taehyun interrupted. Why didn't you want us? Silence. Taejun had orchestrated million-dollar deals, negotiated with Yakuza, ordered hits on rivals. But he couldn't answer a 9-year-old's question. He had no answer. The truth, that they'd been inconvenient, that fatherhood had terrified him, that running had been easier than staying, was too ugly to speak aloud. His mother's voice cut through his paralysis. Boys, come. We're leaving. She took their hands again. To Amara. Please, may I take them for ice cream? Away from this nightmare. Of course. Amara agreed softly. The grandmother paused before leaving, delivering one final blow to her son. I'll be staying with them from now on, at a hotel. Don't contact me. She walked away with his sons, his mother, his family. Taejun watched them disappear through the massive ballroom doors, taking with them any illusion of control he'd had left. The ballroom was nearly empty now. Just Amara, Taejun, and a handful of his closest associates watching the destruction of their boss. Taejun's desperation finally materialized into words. "What do you want from me? Just tell me what you want." His voice cracked. The polished Mafia boss veneer shattered completely. Amara stepped closer, close enough that he could see the decade of pain etched in the fine lines around her eyes, the strength that had been forged in the fire of single motherhood, the rage she'd been saving for exactly this moment. "I want you to feel what I felt. Every single day for 10 years. She circled him slowly, a predator sizing up prey. "You invited me here to mock me, to show me you'd upgraded, to prove I meant nothing." Her voice was steady, controlled, lethal. "But I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what it feels like to lose everything." Each promise landed like a physical blow. "Your reputation? I'll destroy it. Your business? I'll take it. Your family? Already gone. Your future?" She smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression Taejun had ever seen. "I'll burn it to the ground." Taejun tried to laugh, tried to summon the intimidation that usually made people crumble. You're going to destroy me? Do you know who I am? I run this city. I have connections in every police department, every court, Do you know who your grandfather is? Amara's question stopped him cold. His face changed, color drained. "What about my grandfather?" "He's been waiting to meet his great-grandsons." Amara's smile widened. "We have a meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m., at the family estate." The revelation hit Taejun like a freight train. His grandfather, Kang Dae-won, 82 years old, patriarch of the family, controller of a multi-billion-won empire. The man whose approval Taejun had spent his entire life chasing. The man whose inheritance Taejun had been promised as the eldest grandson. That grandfather. "Oh, and about your wedding gift?" Amara walked toward the exit, her red dress flowing behind her like blood. "Consider the twins' arrival my RSVP. But my real gift? You'll receive that tomorrow." She disappeared through the doors, leaving Taejun alone in the ruins of what was supposed to be his triumph. Night fell on Seoul, and Taejun's penthouse apartment became a war room of panic. He paced like a caged animal, expensive whiskey in hand, phone pressed to his ear. "I need you to secure my inheritance. Now." His lawyer's voice crackled through the speaker, trying to be reassuring. "Sir, the will is ironclad. Your grandfather's will leaves everything to his eldest grandson. You're the only heir. Unless what?" Taejun's instincts screamed danger. "Unless he changes it. But he's 82 years old and recently had a stroke. He'd need a serious reason to." "He has a reason now." Taejun threw his glass against the wall, watched it shatter. 2 reasons. Twin great-grandsons he never knew about. The lawyer's silence said everything. Taejun started making calls, pulling every string he had. Find out everything about Amara Johnson, where she lives, what she does, how she survived 10 years in Seoul. I want her bank records, her employment history, everything. 20 minutes later, his investigator called back, and the news made Taejun's blood run cold. "Boss, you need to hear this. Amara, she's not struggling. She's CEO of a pharmaceutical consulting firm. Revenue, 15 billion won annually. She lives in Gangnam. The twins attend Seoul International School. That's 40 million won per year in tuition. She's been living in Seoul for 2 years. Taejun's phone slipped from his hand. She's been here? In Seoul? For 2 years. Yes, sir. She didn't come back for money. She came back for something else. The realization crashed over him like ice water. This wasn't spontaneous revenge. This was calculated, planned. She'd spent 2 years in Seoul, building her life, establishing herself, waiting for the perfect moment. The wedding invitation he'd sent to mock her? She'd been waiting for exactly that kind of arrogance. He'd handed her the weapon to destroy him. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered with shaking hands. Who is this? Mr. Kong, your grandfather requests your presence tomorrow at 10 a.m. The family estate. It's regarding his will. The assistant's voice was professionally cold. Don't be late. Click. Taejun tried calling his mother. Straight to voicemail. He tried again. The call wouldn't go through. Blocked. He sent a text. Mother, please. We need to talk. The message came back. Not delivered. Another call shattered the silence. Chief Prosecutor Kim's voice held the satisfaction of a hunter cornering prey. Mr. Kong, this is Chief Prosecutor Kim. We'll be executing search warrants on all your business properties starting tomorrow morning. I suggest you prepare your lawyers. Click. Taejun stood in his penthouse, surrounded by luxury that suddenly felt like a prison. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed Seoul glittering below, a city he thought he owned. But empires built on arrogance collapse faster than they rise. One day. It had taken one day for his wedding to become a funeral, for his victory to become defeat, for the woman he discarded to become the architect of his destruction. He poured another drink with trembling hands, knowing tomorrow would determine everything. His inheritance, his family, his future, and the woman holding all the cards wasn't the desperate 19-year-old he'd abandoned. She was a queen who'd spent 10 years sharpening her sword. Morning came too fast. Multiple black cars lined the gravel driveway of the Kong family estate. Taejun arrived to find his mother's car already there. And then he saw it. Amara's car, expensive and foreign, parked like it belonged. The traditional meeting room smelled of incense and old wood, generations of family decisions soaked into the walls. Grandfather Kong Dae-won sat at the head of the low table, his body frail from the recent stroke but his eyes sharp as broken glass. Taejun's mother sat on one side, her face unreadable. Amara and the twins sat opposite, the boys dressed in traditional Korean clothing that fit them perfectly. Someone had prepared them, taught them. Family lawyers lined the walls like witnesses at an execution. And there, watching everything with unsettling interest, sat Uncle Sung-ho, Taejun's father's younger brother, a man who'd always been second in line for everything. Taejun entered, and the weight of judgment pressed down like physical force. Grandfather, I can explain. The old man's raised hand cut him off mid-sentence. Sit. Not a request. Command. Taejun sat in the empty space across from Amara, close enough to see the calm certainty in her eyes, close enough to watch his sons refuse to look at him. His mother's gaze stayed fixed on the twins, drinking in their features like she was memorizing sacred texts. Taejun. His grandfather's voice came slowly, words carefully formed around stroke-weakened muscles. I called this meeting to discuss my will, and to meet my great-grandsons. For the first time, the twins stood in perfect unison, bowed with precision that spoke of careful instruction. Great-grandfather, they said together in flawless Korean. Not a trace of accent, not a moment of hesitation. They'd been trained for this. The old man's stern expression cracked. Tears pooled in ancient eyes. He gestured them closer with trembling fingers, and they approached, bowed again. He touched their faces the way his daughter had, tracing features, finding family in the curve of cheeks and the shape of eyes. You look like me. When I was young, he whispered. To Taehyun, strong eyes. You'll be a leader. To Taemin, kind heart. You'll be wise. Then he looked at Taejun, and the warmth evaporated like water on hot stone. For 10 years, you hid my legacy from me. For 10 years, you let my great-grandsons grow up without family. For 10 years, you proved you are not worthy of the Kong name. Grandfather, please. I was young. I was foolish. Silence. I'm not finished. The old man pulled legal documents from beside him, slid them to the family lawyer with shaking hands. I've made my decision about the will. The lawyer cleared his throat, began reading with professional detachment. Revised last will and testament of Kang Dae-won. Primary beneficiaries: Kang Tae-hyun and Kang Tae-min, age 9, great-grandsons. Total estate value: 2.1 billion won. All business holdings, properties, and assets. Legal guardian and trustee until age 25. Amara Johnson, mother. The room exploded. Tae-jun shot to his feet. "You can't do this." Uncle Sung-ho's eyes widened with barely concealed excitement. Opportunity was blooming from disaster. Aunt Mi-sun gasped. Only Tae-jun's mother sat quietly, a small smile playing at her lips. "I'm your grandson. Your only grandson. I've worked for this family for 15 years. Tae-jun's voice climbed toward hysteria. "I have 2 grandsons now." The old man's words were soft but absolute. "The difference is, they deserve it." Amara spoke, her voice respectful but firm. "As their mother and legal guardian, I understand the responsibility. I'll honor your legacy, sir. You already have. You raised them well." Despite him, Tae-jun's rage finally detonated. "You planned this. You manipulated him." He pointed at Amara like she was a criminal. "She's using the children to steal my inheritance." His grandfather's anger broke through stroke-induced weakness. "She didn't hide them from me. You did. She brought them to me. You buried them." Tae-jun lunged toward Amara. "You'll regret this. I'll prove you're unfit. You're a foreigner. You don't understand our culture." Amara stood, met his rage with glacial calm. "Your sons speak fluent Korean. They know traditional customs. They've been raised to honor your family's legacy. The question is, have you?" "You bitch!" Tae-jun grabbed for her, and security guards materialized, intercepting him. The twins jumped back, fear flashing across their young faces. Their grandmother pulled them close, shielding them from their father's violence. "Enough!" The grandfather stood with difficulty, commanding despite his frailty. "You threaten the mother of my heirs? Get him out. Now!" Security dragged Tae-jun toward the door, his screams echoing through ancestral halls. "This isn't over. I'll fight this. I'll destroy you. Those kids aren't even. They're my blood. More than you'll ever be." His grandfather's final words chased him out. Tae-jun landed on gravel, the estate gates closing behind him with terrible finality. Through the window, he watched his worst nightmare. Grandfather hugging the twins, his mother smiling at them, Amara standing with his family, and Uncle Sung-ho watching everything with calculating eyes. 30 minutes later, after the meeting ended, Sung-ho approached Amara privately. He poured tea with practiced hospitality, then delivered truth like poison. "What happened today was unprecedented, but you need to understand what you've just accepted. This isn't just money. This is a criminal empire. The legitimate businesses are fronts. The real money comes from less legal ventures. You'll inherit enemies, rival gangs, corrupt politicians expecting payments. Your sons will grow up as targets. Kidnapping threats, assassination attempts. Is that what you want for them?" He opened his briefcase. Stacks of cash gleamed. $50 million. Cash. Untraceable. Today. Walk away from the inheritance. Sign over guardianship to me. I'll ensure the boys are raised properly, protected. You take the money, go anywhere in the world, live in peace. Or stay, fight, and Tae-jun will never stop coming for you. Minji's father will investigate every aspect of your life. Is revenge really worth your son's safety? He slid a card across. You have 24 hours to decide. Amara sat alone afterward, staring at the briefcase. $50 million versus 2 billion won and war. Through the window, her sons played with their grandmother, laughing, innocent, safe for now. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Ms. Amara, this is Detective Park from Financial Crimes. We've been investigating Mr. Kang for years. We understand you may have information that could help our case. Can we meet tomorrow before you make any major decisions? Another text. Take the money and run, or stay and fight. Either way, you've made enemies. Choose wisely. 24 hours. SH. Amara closed the briefcase, closed her laptop full of evidence against Taejun, stood at the window watching her sons. One hand on the glass, the other clenched in a fist. 50 million to walk away or 2 billion to destroy him. Safety or justice. Peace or war. Her voiceover whispered. He gave me an impossible choice 10 years ago. Him or our children. I chose them. Now he's given me another choice. Safety or justice. But this time, maybe I don't have to choose. Before you click away, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell because part 2 is coming and you will not want to miss Amara's decision. Smash that like button if you're Team Amara. Now here's my question for you. If you were Amara, what would you choose? $50 million in peace or 2 billion in war? Drop your answer in the comments right now. And share this video with someone you love because this story is just beginning. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in part 2 where everything changes.